All right, so we're out here with Rocket. He's in the puppy program, and we're going to reintroduce, because he started off in week 1. I think we were just in week 1, maybe week 2. Good, so he's still got a nice little food lure. So we use food luring. Oh, no, thank you. We use food luring, no, thank you, to shape new behaviors generally. That's how we teach most of the new behaviors that we teach in this program, including sit, which I think he knew already. Good. And down. So you'll notice how he pops right up out of that sit. One of the things that we do with our obedience in this program is that we have what's called an implied stay, which means stay is built into all known behaviors that we teach him. And so he should maintain behaviors until he is released. So he's a bit pushy with the food. Yeah. Hungry guy, huh? All right. So that means if we ask him to sit, for example, because he knows that, right? We would want him to maintain that sit until we release him from that behavior. So see how he kind of pops right up out of that? We want to teach him to keep sitting until we release you. So there's 2 different ways we can release our dogs from behavior. We can release them with the clicker. And actually, I kind of want to see if he still remembers that. We introduced that to him a couple weeks ago. Good. So his response to the clicker should be to whip around, run to me as enthusiastically as I could possibly have him respond, run to me to get food. So if he were to potentially get distracted, what's over there? Okay, yeah, a little slow, but he's got it. So I would work on just kind of sharpening that up. So we would just be pairing some of his food with the clicker so that he's running to get that food, and we're creating that instinctual or conditioned response. So think a similar response to like when we sneeze and we cover our mouth. You don't really think about doing it. It's just something you kind of do instinctually or conditioned. So we want a response that's similar to that to the clicker. So I would work on that because that helps with our obedience later on. It can help us really accelerate learning. So when we're in the learning process, the shaping stage of some of these behaviors, using our clicker can really help make a snapshot of behaviors and make it so that the dog is much more likely to perform that behavior again. So we'll talk more about implied stays. Right now I want to capture this down behavior because I don't know if we've got down with him just yet. I generally like to teach that, or capture it, I should say, from a sitting position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have him in a sit. I'm going to bring that food to his nose and start to slowly guide his body towards the ground. If he pops up, oh no, I'm going to kind of wait for him to reset. So we're going to kind of see if he offers that sitting position again. He's using his noodle right now. I can smell the smoke. There he goes. Perfect. So he pops out of that sit. The food kind of goes away for a second. Good. The food comes back when he pops his little booty down. Whoops. So with bulldogs, they have a little bit of a different conformation physically. So we want to kind of keep that in mind when we're trying to capture this. Whoop, you got to chew, bud. Perfect. And I'm just, with this food lure, I'm letting him nibble, nibble, nibble. Good. So I'm going to bring his head slowly towards the ground. Now what's going to happen is lactic acid is going to start to build up in his muscles. Right now, when that's happening, he's popping up out of the sit to make himself more comfortable. But eventually, what should start to happen, because when he pops up out of that sit, the food will go away. Good. He's going to want to keep his booty on the floor and actually get into a down position to kind of help relieve the fatigue in his muscles. Good. Good. Nice. And I'm actually kind of pushing backwards as well, like folding him like a lawn chair almost. So we're going towards the floor and kind of pushing back because of his body shape. That's how I think his shoulders want to achieve this position. Yeah, there we go. So I'm going to let him nibble, nibble, nibble right here. Oh no, you popped up. Good. And I've seen him lay down a couple times, and he does tend to like frog dog it, where his legs are shot out behind him. So it might take a while to achieve this like Sphinx style down that we're looking for. Yeah, good. Oops. He's like, I would like easier food from your pouch, please, not food that I have to work so hard for. Good, and you'll notice a lot of times I don't talk too much sometimes, especially in the learning phase, right? I want him to use his noodle. I don't want to flood him with all this extra stuff and kind of become like Charlie Brown's teacher, wop, 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 making a bunch of noise that don't make sense. I want him to figure it out. Good. I gave him a big chunk of that food just there. Perfect. So the key to this is definitely patience, for sure. Good. Good. Whoops. And bulldogs are commonly labeled as being stubborn dogs. I like to relabel stubborn dogs as being very committed dogs. I find that dogs like this type of bulldog kind of dude, they are committed to one answer and they aren't really built for lots of logical reasoning and coming up with other answers on their own as quickly. So they take a little bit longer to teach initially, but once you show them the way, good boy, good, okay. Then they're stubborn about the right way of doing things. So they become committed to the right answer. So that bulldoggedness is actually a good thing. A stubborn dog is a committed dog, and we like that. We just have to sometimes be a little bit patient and creative when we're trying to show them a different answer than what the one they're coming up with. Whoops. Good. Whoops. Good. Good. Whoa. I know. Good. Good boy. Good. Yay. Okay. Perfect. So you'll hear me saying, okay, that's a general release word. You might pick a different word for your release word, but I'm just going to pick kind of a generic one for you at the moment. You'll also notice that I'm not labeling this behavior as anything yet. So yes, good boy. I'm about to label it because I often say my little, okay, mantra is I don't name it till I love it, which basically means I want the dog already doing the behavior before I start to pair it with some random word that he doesn't understand anyway. Good. Good boy. Okay. That way he can start to pair what he's hearing with what he's doing, and then that's usually the best way to get a dog to respond to a verbal command. So we're looking for what we call a light bulb moment. So when we start to do this exercise and he's like, got it, you want this thing. He's really close. Yeah, good boy. Good boy. Okay. So he's just about there. But then what I'll start to do is say the word down, then perform this little food lure thing that we're doing. Good. Oh. Let's see if he's got it. There, good boy. The other thing too, and I find that this is kind of another, bulldog trait, is that they're more so than other breeds of dog, very unaware of their bodies. They have very low levels of proprioception. So they're not quite really aware of what's going on behind their ears. So, where, like, for instance, in that last rep where he kind of had an elbow out, he might not be very aware of that at this time. Good. That'll get good. That'll get better as he gets older. Good. Okay. But I think particularly for bulldogs, they're just kind of floating heads that are looking for food. And so they're not just quite aware of what the rest of their bodies are doing. Good boy. Whoops. Good boy. Yes, sir. Now that's kind of a light bulb moment, right? Good boy. Okay. So you could start to pair that word. We're going to say down. Whoops. Good. Okay. And I'm trying to use my release word before he pops out of it himself. Down. I'm just giving him a second to hear the word. We're kind of bypassing that sitting first. Now we're kind of doing it a little bit different. I want to kind of see if he's going to think about putting his bum down. Yay! Okay. So before I was having him sit and then luring him down, but now I'm just kind of saying down and luring him right to the floor. So I'm bypassing all the making him sit, then luring him down. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Because that requires him to think about what his body's doing a little bit more. Good, which will help him learn the behavior a little bit easier. So I don't really mind that he's popping out of it right now too much. I would like to try to release him out of it with my release word or my clicker before he pops up out of it, but I'm not going to focus on that just yet. I really want to just focus on building clarity of that behavior in and of itself and getting his body, getting some muscle memory with getting into that position. We're going to work on that next, where we start to add in some duration in his sits and downs and working on having him maintain those behaviors until he is released. So he just needs a little bit more time practicing it this way. I'm going to let this marinate, as I like to say, and then we're going to pick this up later. Training sessions should end on a really high note, and they should be short and sweet. So this was perfect. He's doing really good. Good job.